Did you know that colors alone can tell an entire story in your abstract painting? Today I'm gonna show you how 3 different color palettes, blueberry, caramel and marshmallow, each can carry their own mood, emotion and associations. By the end of this video you're gonna know how to start with simple inspiration, translate it into color and build abstract art that feels emotional, personal and meaningful. But before we dive into it, hi, my name is Esther Franchuk. I'm an artist, abstract painter, traveler, creative, a lover of beautiful things. I make videos about everything around my art studio, tips for artists and collectors and so much more. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will not miss any of the upcoming videos. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so I'm gonna start painting now and I'm using a really simple selection of brushes of different sizes and types. So those basically are bristle brushes and I'm gonna use some of the synthetic brushes like this white big one. The first color palette I'm using is basically a selection of greens and purples with some gray and beige for the neutral and tiny bit of white. So this color palette gonna be a blueberry association emotion, so to say, as a starting point for the abstract painting, and let's see how we can translate this into creating a mood with the color story itself on this first color study. Let's go. So I'm gonna start by just making pretty loose background with the neutrals, and I'm gonna already incorporate some of the light green into the gray. It really helps to have something going on your canvas already in terms of brush strokes and texture, even when you're just starting the painting with a background. I like giving a canvas some kind of life, or the paper in this case, and create variety of light shades right away. So then it's just, I don't end up with having 2 of the transparent, loose white of the paper showing through in the later stages, in case I build up something and I really want to just leave it as it is in terms of mark making, but then there's just like the background is unresolved, and usually when the background is unresolved you end up with covering it on top, and then you usually ruin your nice compositional elements. And you need to repaint, and it just overloads the canvas and it doesn't have this effortless look anymore. So starting with some kind of background and toning the canvas is always good. This is just already gives me something to work with in terms of mood and texture. Here the brush is just showing too much. So I want to soften these areas. Okay, and now I'm gonna be adding darker greens. So now I'm introducing darker green. And I'm not even mixing colors so much at this point. I'm really just layering different straight out of the tube pigments that I like, that create good transitions. So when I place brush strokes, I really try to imitate dynamic of the berry bushes. But since I didn't introduce the purples yet, it just still like an underlayer for the main color story to unfold. But the yellow would create a really nice complementary palette situation with all of the purples, and this is just looks like a really nice background already. So now I'm introducing a bit more of purple. So why do we even start with color association? Abstract art, I believe, is not about escaping or ignoring reality, but rather just translating reality in a different way. And I believe just having those initial inspiration really helpful when building an abstract painting. So for this first palette that is called Blueberry, when you have a point of reference, it actually makes your work even stronger. Moods, objects, memories, you just translate it into palettes, and then it just carry way more emotion and meaning in this way. So on the first palette, which I call Blueberry palette, we have colors like green, blue and purple, and the mood here is really refreshing. It's cool, calm, slightly sophisticated, it's really grounded. Interiors where this painting would fit into would be, let's say, kitchen, maybe a workspace, or even a modern living room area. When you do those associative abstracts, it's important not to think too much of the subject matter that you are translating, because you can end up then with like really painting every blueberry, so to say. What we are going, this is just really translating certain subject matter into abstract. In order to create a certain mood. So it's really not a portrait of the blueberry bush, but it's still really open to interpretation. So people can still, like the viewer can still see something else. Because it's not literal. So I feel like I'm really close to finishing on this piece. I mean, it's just a color study, right? I definitely love the direction, and I can imagine it as a full-scale abstract painting. I think I want to just have a bit more contrast here to create a stronger compositional center. So I'm gonna add brighter yellow. I think I should stop. I really like how it is right now. It definitely gives me the berry garden bushes. We went to, last year in the fall, we went to some like horseback riding trip in the mountains, and there were bushes of berries in the grass when we rode horses, and that was amazing. So it just really connected to me to some it's really connected for me for those memories. So if I would take this painting further, personally, I would try to also go deeper into the experience, into all of these memories when we went horseback riding, when I discovered those bushes with blueberries, and they're like not really visible from a distance, but then like when you actually get off the horse and walk and you see up close all of these berries, and there's villages and people in the villages that like have like gathering these berries in the wild, and this is just part of the local transcarpathian culture. So like all of these different experiences and memories, like they could go and enhance your work emotionally when it's just like something really authentic and unique that you experience, and as you paint you translate that kind of story into a piece, and then it's still really open-ended, really interpretive, and can live in multiple places and tell multiple stories, and it's not really overwhelming with the meaning, and everyone can find their own. Okay, so let's now move to the second piece and see how we can create completely different mood with a different composition and different color story. Okay, now we're gonna get to the second color study, and association for this one gonna be caramel. So we are trying to create completely different mood and completely different emotion with this color study, and for this one I'm going to be using selections of brown, reds, a bit of pink and orange, some like earthy tones, and beige and cream with white as neutrals to go with them. And I'm going to be also creating different type of composition, and yeah, but let's start and see how it goes. So we are starting again with the background. I will try to have slightly different flow of the brush strokes. it helps me to have different composition. Because while painting side to side, this can really influence the way I paint and colors and movement of brushstrokes. So just having a different dynamic in the start really helps to set up a different tone. I want some of these drips to show in the end, so I'm gonna let them dry and then just have another layer of the background. But on the contrary, here I don't want it to be so transparent anymore, so I'm gonna add more pigment. Now I'm adding a bit more of this rusty, transparent yellow and mix it into the surface. This is not really part of compositional flow yet, but I just want to have a bit more variety of color in the underlayer. So with this one, I'm going for caramel. So I want it to be warm, a little bit of sweet, but still feel classy with all of this earth tones and a use of pastels. So I'm thinking of those like caramel candies, but also dulce de leche cakes. We love those type of cakes in our family. I feel like at this point I want to start building composition a little bit. To already establish some directional flow for the brush strokes. This might end up a little bit bottom heavy, so it needs some supportive edge in order to have a better composition. This dusty pink also lends well. It's the colors I already have. On the second color palette, which is a caramel palette, we're using colors like red, brown, orange, and rust. And the mood here is really warm, grounding, but in the same time could be energetic, yet cozy. Interiors where this piece will perfectly lend to would be a living room, maybe a home office or library. Browns usually go for stability, and reds and oranges for warmth, energy, and connection. These tones might also feel like autumn leaves or coffee, instantly comforting and grounding. So this color palette really reminds me of these butterscotch candies or toffee candies. I just really love their taste and structure. It's like this boiled milk that is really sweet but hearty. So I want to emphasize composition by adding some mark making that kind of gives you an association of those caramel hard candies, but really, again, like really interpretive. I'm gonna use this funky fan brush because I feel like this piece is really asking for circular dynamic and mark making. So I'm gonna see if this brush is what I need. So this couple of brush strokes really did it for me. I feel like now it's done as a study. Also, of course, when you translate it into like bigger abstract painting, there are going to be more layers of depth. There are going to be a lot more mark making and layers because it's a bigger piece, and yeah, it's just gonna look different. But as a study, I feel like it's a really good demonstration of this color palette. Really reminds me of caramel, makes me wanna make my husband's favorite dulce de leche cake. We haven't had it in a while, so yeah, but I can really tell that those kind of color palette will go really well into the living room, into the library, any like studying spaces, because it's really warm but still classy, and it just really works well with most of the furniture, wooden furniture especially. So yeah, I feel like it's a really successful limited palette, color palette. So now we're moving to the study number 3. Again, wash the brushes, clean the palette. Really important to keep your workspace clean when shifting it between different paintings, the different color palettes. Otherwise you would just paint all the same. The color is gonna influence you and your choices, colors from the previous work. So using the same selection of brushes, but they are just clean. Really similar to the other two, we're gonna start with the background of just really neutral light color. I'm using warm beige for this one. On this one, I want to create vertical flow for the underpainting, but the association actually gonna be marshmallow, and we are working with way more pastel candy colors for this one. Also gonna use a little bit of the pastel light green for underpainting. Green on the background will create a really nice underpainting with a touch of complement, because I want to use pinks as the leading color. But green for sure will balance it out without leading the color story. So now I'm adding light pink in pattern grid. And the third one is the Marshmallow palette. Colors we are using here are pink, whites, and pastels. Mood is way more soft, playful, and nostalgic. Interiors could be children's room, nursery, cozy corners. Pastels really lighten up the atmosphere. Pinks go with tenderness and sweetness, and white always stands for purity and openness. For this one, I really just want something light and funky, more light-hearted. I imagine those colors would go the best into the children's room, like young girl room, maybe bedroom. They're really tender and sweet. This whole color palette is just really light. You can also like make it more square if you like, and like imitate the shape of marshmallow. I'm just using... I actually realized that here in Ukraine we have those desserts that are really similar to marshmallow, but they are made out of apple puree, but they're like visually really similar to marshmallow. They're really light and floaty. They call zephyr. I really don't know if it translates because it's such a unique dessert. To this area, but I will attach a picture so you know what I'm talking about. Maybe that's why they're more round in my case, or it's my initial response. This also kind of reminds me of donuts right now as well. I'm also gonna add a little bit of lavender at this point. Also pretty pastel purple, just to make it more interesting. So I added just a little bit more pink here in between because I want my focal point to be somewhere around here. Initially I didn't blend the green to show as much, but I end up actually really liking it, so I would not get rid of it. I will just leave it as it is. But this pink around here definitely is a good way to break down the rhythm. To draw more attention to this area. Stood back and thought green is still a little bit too much if I want to go with more marshmallowy dynamic. I will definitely leave it showing through. Here and there, but I really want pink to be more dominant. Okay, so this one is really cool because it's kind of built on this like pattern, puzzle, patches composition, so to say. And the colors are really candy cane, sweet, soft, light, really cool for lighter space like children's room, maybe the bedroom, or just a funny piece on the kitchen, depends on your decor. But it's just really cool and interesting how different colors, they really set up the mood and they determine the emotion, like this initial emotion that the viewer gonna have. And then of course everyone sees still their own story in it, but it just helps us as artists, I believe, to start with some kind of emotion and then just build on it to create composition, to create color story. And it just way less random and it's way more intentional, and then everyone is still able to see their own story in it. And this is exactly what I teach in my course, Confident Abstracts, where you learn to pick successful color stories for your paintings, but also combine it with successful composition, because color story alone, like the color alone, even if it's really good, really successful and tasteful, will not get you far if your composition is not in place. So just combining these two really strong color stories and strong composition is the backbone of really good, successful abstract painting. In my course, I teach 18 go-to compositional solutions that I found out work perfectly for abstract art, and I'm just right now in the middle of filming additional 9 that work for a slightly different format, which is super exciting because some compositional solutions are versatile, but some work and really sing better in different formats. So this is just new footage that's going to be added to the course soon. If you're already in the course, all of the future updates and new painting processes that I'm going to be adding slowly to the course, you're going to get for free. We also go really in depth into creating color studies based on interior color swapped and real-world inspiration. But not just that, because this is just the first module where you get the basics of color harmony and compositional solutions, and also the way to notice things and to build your own visual language for your abstracts. But in Module 2, you're gonna be able to watch my free painting, full-on painting processes on 3 different formats with different compositional solutions, with different color stories, from the very first brushstrokes and inspiration, what goes into that, to the very final stage with framing and naming the piece. And everything in between, there's no time lapses, nothing is sped up. You're able to see not just my highlights, but my lowlights, all of the doubts in between, my thought process, and how I make decision after decision, moving throughout the painting, how I overcome creative blocks, and how I move through the middle stages towards finishing with confidence. So after taking this course, you're gonna have a generous tool set to create your own abstract painting with both skill and intuition. I already received so much positive feedback from artists all around the world who took the course already, or they're in the middle of taking it and they're already loving it, and even reviews like that the first model was absolutely worth it alone. And there is just so much more to go through and to learn. Also, we're in the process of translating the course into multiple languages, including German, French, and Spanish, and there are going to be more languages coming, so even more artists across the globe can learn. So if you want to go deeper into creating abstract art based on both skill and intuition, make sure to check the link in the video description down below, where you can find all of the information about it. I really believe the color is the fastest way to give your abstract painting an emotion and a story, and I hope today I was able to demonstrate it for you. Please let me know in the comments which color palette was your favorite, blueberry, caramel, or marshmallow. I always like reading all of your guys' comments, and it helps me to make this channel even better. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. There are going to be more videos like this and more tutorials coming in the near future. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one.